What's up everybody, Tam back with another My Hero Academia collectible card game video, and it's a big one. I think it might be one of the most important videos that I make on the entire channel, because today I'm not talking to the average card game player. No, I'm actually going all the way to the top, and I want to talk to the person who sees the most new students. I want to talk to your local game store owner, because the plan for today's video is to teach you how to correctly demo someone in the MHA CCG. Because the biggest barrier of entry for this game are the complex mechanics that exist at even the most casual level. But with a good demo, teaching key points in the correct order, you can show anybody the absolute beauty of this game. So the demo that I'm going to be sharing here is the demo that I give to everybody, no matter their card game experience. Whether it's my 80-year-old grandma who's only experienced Go Fish and Uno, all the way up to your local's best TCG player, this is the demo for everybody. This demo will get them to be able to understand the base core mechanics of the game, and successfully be able to play the game on their own once they have their own deck. Let's take it step by step. So before we start playing the game, both players need to know how do you win, as well as how to read the cards. The win condition is very simple. Reduce my opponent's health to 0. Make sure this is stated before we start reading any cards. It may be obvious to you, but in our teaching role, we need them to understand that all abilities we'll be reading in a minute are trying to lead to this win condition. Start with the card types. Understanding the roles of characters, attacks, foundations are all important in comprehending how we're going to be using these cards to achieve our goal. On each of these cards, we have to establish what are the most important elements of the cards. On character cards, we explain health, hand size, and the text box. On attack cards, we look at difficulty, control, the speed of the attack's zone, the damage of the attack, the block modifier, the block zone, and the text box. On foundations, we have difficulty, control, block modifier, block zone, and its text box. If you've noticed, I've completely left off the idea of symbol identity, because it's just not needed for the demo. It's only needed for the deck building aspect of the game, and we are definitely not there yet. So now that we have a base level of understanding of the card elements, let's jump into a game. So the main two things we have to accomplish inside of this first demo game is, 1, having them accomplish attacking, building foundations, and blocking all on their own. They don't have to do it well, they just have to understand the mechanics of it. The way that we build up to this is over the course of the first few turns, we're going to coach them on exactly how we want them to play their cards. Later on in this video, I'm going to give a step-by-step explanation on what the first few turns of a good demo look like, as well as the verbiage I use to explain it. And the second thing we have to have happen in the game, and honestly this is the harder part, they have to win. But it can't just be an auto win, we got to make it close. They need to win with 8 or less health. And the way that we accomplish that is, honestly, making bad plays. And you can do this by overplaying foundations and attacks. Fail blocks that you can normally pass. Throw out bad pokes. Half block when you know you could safely full block. Yes, you are technically throwing the game, but it's important to play badly so that they stay inside of the game and learn the mechanics longer, as well as learn why you're losing as it happens. Now that they have a good understanding of how to play the game, we want to push them more with a bit of a challenge. Going into game 2, we start to take the training wheels off of our decision making, as well as put pressure on them to find good lines of play. Here's where you can show off the cool combos and interactions between cards, showing them the beautiful complexity that the My Hero Academia collectible card game has to offer. Don't coach them through every line of play, but if they do want to take something back because they found a cooler line, let them. This is a really important aspect in teaching for any life skill. But if you want to be strict, you could give them 3 or so do-overs, and once they're out, they're out. Our goal is to win game 2 after all. We want to push this to game 3. But if they earned it, they earned it. If they beat you, ask for a game 3 and let them know there's not going to be any holding back. Game 3. Play a real game. This is the hardest game to demo because it's all based on how well they learned the game. If they pick the game up well, take it to them and show them just how good they can get. But if they're still struggling with the mechanics, it is okay to slow down and hold their hand just a bit longer. Remember, the point of this demo is to show them how much fun the game is and how much fun they could be having even if they're not winning. So now that you've finished with the demo, you should talk about the other characters. Not everybody loves Midoriya and Bakugo, and that's okay. With how chock full of characters the My Hero card game is, I'm sure there's a hero or villain for everybody. And if they need a bit of help deciding which character to play, I'll have a how to pick a character video down in the description down below. So that's a very high level look at the timeline that I use for an MHA demo. So now let's take a deeper look at game 1 and how I normally walk someone through it. So before the game starts, but after we explain the card types and the win condition of the game, we want to inform them that the first 3 turns of the demo are semi-scripted. Meaning, you're going to force them to play specific card types, but you won't know the exact cards they play. As well as, personally, I like the person I'm demoing to play as Bakugo just because he's a bit more new player friendly. With that said, if your student is a die-hard Deku fan, then you're just going to have to stop them from discarding their hand every turn. We want them to go first because we want them attacking as soon as possible, but they need a solid foundation base before they can do that. So as we draw our opening hands, we're going to mulligan until we find at least 4 foundations, even if this takes us more than the normal amount of redraws. Explain if needed. In order for the demo to go well, you gotta have plenty of these cards, and they will understand as they play. You can keep your hand as long as it has 3 foundations. Teach them proper building patterns from highest to lowest difficulty and make sure they build on 3s. We want them going into the next turn with 3 foundations and their character at a bare minimum. Now that it's your turn, we want to build correctly as well. Build your 3 foundations and then play an attack that you know will fail. The goal here is to reinforce that our checks only go up to 6, and that's why we need foundations to play the game. Now that it's back to their turn, we're going to force them to play an attack. Any attack they wish, they can't fail it. Whether they check a 3 or a 5, that's fine. We will now be coaching them through the enhanced step. For this first attack, it's your job to highlight all of the options they have in their stage. Note, they are going to try and play enhances out of their hand or attempt to play other cards. In order to stop that, after they play the attack, just have them set their hand down to the side. We won't need it and they can pick it up when we're done with this card. So now, let them make choices with their stage. The only E we don't want them to play is the once per turn enhance on Midoriya. We want them to understand that they can play more cards after this attack resolves, and that's hard to do if we dump our hand on this one attack. After we finish playing enhances, we're going to partial block this attack, or do our best to. This is to explain the block step, as well as the damage step, and put them ahead in the overall tempo of the game. From here, the demo can go one of 2 ways. If they checked well and have another attack to play, let them play it. If they checked poorly, advise them to build more foundations and hold 2 cards as block options. One in mid block and one in off zone block. Now, back to your turn, you'll be attacking with hopefully a mid attack. And let's make this mid attack very heavy damage. We want them to feel good about making the right call blocking this. With a correct build turn and no speed increase on our end, this attack should be possible to block. The best case scenario is after they've blocked this attack, our new student is a bit committed out, and we can play another attack that will be difficult to contest. We are hoping to sneak an unblocked attack in here, equaling out the health difference a bit, as well as showing our opponent that blocking strings of attacks can be difficult and to use the resources wisely. Plus, remember, we gotta make this game one close. After we build some foundations out, holding a few difficult to play blocks, we will pass our turn, focusing on clearing out the card pool correctly. Moving on to the new student's turn 3, we now get to introduce the review mechanic. Here is normally how I explain why this step matters. In this card game, we're going to be seeing a ton of cards every turn, and it's not always the best strategy just to jam down every card that we see. Sometimes you want to sculpt your hand by playing a bit patiently. On the opposite end, sometimes we hold cards exclusively to block with, so the game lets you be patient by letting you review one card after you've readied all cards in your stage. The normal mentality is, if you want to build foundations this turn, review an attack card. If you want to attack more, review a foundation card. Remember though, reviewing is optional, and there will be some games where you don't do it at all. Now that we have all the game mechanics explained, we're just going to finish game 1 with as close of a finish as we can make it. Even if it means we punt an easy block on purpose. Just don't let them see your hand after the game. And there you have it. I have demoed this card game a ton, and I can tell you this line of teaching has brought me the most success in both enjoyment as well as comprehension. If you have any questions about the steps or thoughts on the step-by-step process, please let me know down in the comments down below. Also, please share this video with all of your local game store owners, your local sensei, or anybody interested in teaching this game. The more concise we can get our teaching materials, the stronger heroes and villains we'll make. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I wish you well.